every leader encounters questions about how to handle criticism and how to handle praise. Some leaders handle criticism better than praise. Some handle praise better than criticism. What's the best way to do that? Jim Collins uses a metaphor that is a great option for thinking about how to handle criticism and praise. He says the best leaders think of criticism as a mirror, and they say, I'll take responsibility. But those same leaders see praise as a window where praise passes right through them, and they say, look at my people, they were the ones that did it. So think about praise as a window. Think about praise as something where when I am publicly praised for something, it is an opportunity for me to elevate, to point to show the people that did all the work with me. And in the same way, when criticism happens, it's a chance for me to take responsibility. I might go back to my people and we can work together and say, okay, how do we get better next time? But publicly, I'm going to treat praise as a window and criticism as a mirror. Now let me give you an example of just the opposite of that. I remember working for a leader one time who not only treated criticism as a window where he could say, look, it's not my fault, and he would point to everybody else. When criticism came up, it became deeply important for him to make sure that everybody in the organization knew it wasn't his fault. We've talked from Chris Argyris before about how important it is to avoid defensive reasoning, where defensive reasoning is about projecting blame onto others. Well, he took defensive reasoning a step further. He made sure that the public narrative was not only that he wasn't responsible, but he had to find somebody who was. There was a moment when I remember that I was the scapegoat. I was the one that was publicly responsible. And the reason that I was publicly responsible was that he would have been able to avoid the problem. He would have been able to not talk about it publicly, except for the fact that I had actually read the report. There was a report he issued where it talked about the finances of our organization, and what happened is that I could say, wait a second, there's a problem. If we look at these finances, we find out that our income is not as high as our expenses. And we've been playing all along through this year thinking that we're ahead. We're actually behind. We should do something about it. I was not in any way blaming the person who was bringing this. I was just simply saying that if we read this report correctly, we need to change our behavior. But the person in charge took that very much as a public indictment. And it became important for the rest of the organization to know that I was responsible because I was the one that brought this up. I ended up leaving that organization because of things that fell out of that conversation. Because one of the things that happened is that every single time that anything came up where we were supposed to take responsibility, that person would need to find somebody to blame. He didn't treat praise as a window, and he didn't treat criticism as a mirror. He needed to be able to take credit for what other people had done, and he needed to blame others for his mistakes. The best leaders treat criticism as a mirror and praise as a window.